All right, this has to be said. I think Frankfurt is unintentionally maybe scamming all of these teams with all the strikers they've sold in the recent years. And I'm going to explain why in this video. And I bring this up because Ekitike at the time of this recording is on the verge of signing for Liverpool. And obviously as a United fan and a professional hater, I wish him nothing but the worst when he signs for Liverpool. I hope he doesn't score as many goals as he does for Frankfurt. And maybe this data will make you think that might be the case. But there's always exceptions. I'm going to show you at the end who the player was that performed the best since leaving them. These are some of Frankfurt's biggest departures. So I'm going to start at the bottom with number 7 as it pertains to forwards. André Silva left for 23 million and he ended up at Leipzig. Let's see how he did at Frankfurt then after leaving. In the 2019-2020 season, he scored 16 goals and had 4 assists in 37 matches. And then in 2020, he had a breakout year. He had 29 goals and 7 assists in 34 matches, which obviously then led to the departure to Leipzig, where in 51 matches, he scored 17 goals and 6 assists. Stats-wise, he did a little bit better than his first season at Frankfurt when he first joined Leipzig, but he also did play an extra 13 or 14 matches if I'm not mistaken. After that, he then only scored 9 goals and 7 assists in 44 matches. And in 2023, he went to Sociedad and scored 4 goals in 26 matches. And after that, went to Leipzig, had 1 goal, 3 assists in 15 matches. And this last season, in 8 matches played, he had 1 goal. So clearly his career has gone downhill since leaving Frankfurt. The next one I'm going to go over is Luka Jović, if that's how you say his name. He left for 63 million and did end up going to Real Madrid. And this one's really similar to André Silva. He had his first season at Frankfurt with 9 goals, 2 assists in 27 matches, then had a breakout year in his second season. 48 matches, 27 goals, 6 assists. Who took notice? Real Madrid. They signed him in 27 matches. He had 2 goals, 2 assists. So obviously underperforming. Then, if I'm not mistaken, he was loaned back after 5 matches with Madrid in the 2020-2021 season to Frankfurt, where he only had 4 goals in 18 games. He then returns to Madrid, has 19 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists. Then he finally gets a full season with Fiorentina, 50 matches played, 13 goals, 3 assists. Then goes to Milan, 9 goals in 30 games, and then last season, 5 goals in 18 games. So again, safe to say, Frankfurt cashed out big, had a goal scorer leave their team, and then start to underperform. Next is the most expensive, who was Kolo Muani, who left to PSG for 95 million, being the most expensive. This one was a little bit different. He had his breakout season with Frankfurt, 46 matches, 23 goals, 14 assists. And he started the next season, but only played 4 matches with Frankfurt before PSG picked him up. And in 40 games in the French league, he scored 9 goals, 6 assists. Underperforming. The next season starts with PSG again in 14 matches, 2 goals, 1 assist, and then goes to Juve, 10 goals, 3 assists in 22 matches, which is based off the amount of games and the amount of goals and assists, looks like has been his best season since leaving Frankfurt. That was a 94 million signing. So definitely underperformed and did not replicate anywhere near his Frankfurt numbers. And the last one finally, and the one that I think is the most surprising, is Sébastien Haller. He left Frankfurt for West Ham for 50 million, and these are the stats he put up. In his first season for Frankfurt, he had 13 goals, 6 assists in 36 matches, and then in a breakout season, he had 20 goals, 12 assists in 41 matches for Frankfurt. Then the next season got picked up by West Ham, 35 games, 7 goals, 1 assist. And in 2020-2021, which if I'm not mistaken might be the year he got cancer. I'm not sure if it was that year or his first year with Ajax. It might have even been with Dortmund. I might have the timeline confused. But nonetheless, 7 goals in 19 matches. Once he got to the Dutch league, that is where he started to pick up form again. And that's where I think people can argue, well, it's the Dutch league, so he should have performed better. But then you can think of the same thing for the French league. I would argue for sure that the Bundesliga is more competitive than the French league. And some of the strikers that did end up going, like Kolo Muani, did not perform in the French league on a team like PSG that scores a ton of goals in the league. So he goes to Ajax and revives his career, if you want to say. Does that for 2 seasons in a row. Then second season with Ajax, 34 goals, 9 assists in 43 games. Then goes to Dortmund, 9 goals, 3 assists. Doesn't replicate his Bundesliga numbers at all. And then obviously, I don't even know how to say the name, Utrecht, if I'm not mistaken. 6 goals, 1 assist in 18 matches. Again, just did not pick up the form or continue the form that he had at Frankfurt. And the last one I'm going to talk about, but I just think it's too much of a small sample size, is Marmoush from City. Marmoush had his breakout season with 17 goals, 6 assists in 41 matches for Frankfurt. The following season, only played half the season because he got bought by City. But in 26 games, 20 goals, 13 assists in 26 matches. So 33 goal involvements in 26 matches. Then he goes to City, and in 25 matches, he had 8 goals and 1 assist. And yes, you can argue a lot of different things. I think one good argument for this is that he's now on a team that isn't going to rely really on him for the same productivity that he had at Frankfurt. But at the same time, he got to City at a time where Pep needed players. He needed people to score because they weren't able to win games. So I honestly thought when he got to City, he was going to have to be that guy. But clearly, at least again, this is such a small sample size, he wasn't that guy for City. And I'm not saying that because he hasn't been able to perform, but just looking at the numbers, because I wouldn't say he's been playing terribly for City whatsoever, but just looking at the numbers, he's not replicating the same numbers he did at Frankfurt. But again, he did upgrade leagues. He is in a more team that has a more complete squad, so maybe the stats might be more shared. There's a few different ways to look at that for sure, but again, small sample size. Curious to see how he's going to do next season. But with all of that info, I think it's safe to say that a lot of the strikers that have left Frankfurt for big money end up flopping when they leave. I mean, I would consider Kolo Muani a flop. And when I say flop, I mean when they cannot replicate the same or similar numbers, because I wouldn't expect them to match the same numbers, but similar numbers to their Frankfurt numbers. André Silva couldn't do it. Sébastien Haller kind of did it. He did go to a much weaker league to do it, but he still did it. Jović didn't do it. Omar Marmoush so far has not done it, small sample size, and Kolo Muani has not done it either. And as a United fan and a professional hater for sure, I'm hoping that Ekitike, if he does go, does not do anything remotely close to the numbers he did at Liverpool. Although I will say Liverpool isn't going to have to rely on him, especially with the season Salah just had. They don't need someone to score 30 goals in a season as a striker. Is it going to help them? Of course. But they also just got Florian Wirtz, which he can put up numbers, or did in the Bundesliga at least. If they do get Ekitike, I'm not sure what his style of play is going to be there or how Slot plans to use him. But does he need to be scoring as many goals as he does at Frankfurt? No, he doesn't. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to fit into that squad and how they'll do next season. Obviously, I wish him nothing but the worst in terms of what he does on the field. But other than that, I think Frankfurt unintentionally maybe scammed a lot of these teams into selling their players for such high fees and them not living up to the price tag or even doing anything remotely to what they were doing on the field for Frankfurt.